when you're going in deeper into consciousness, and this happens to a lot of the people who wake up, you feel so good. You feel like you're like Superman or Wonder Woman, and you can do anything. You'd feel like you're a god in a way. It's just like you're untouchable, and the mind loves that, and it'll run off into a bad relationship or a bad situation, or run off into heavy spaces and reside there. And most people lose it because they actually can't handle it. They don't value it enough to stay there. The ego is way too strong still. It's still addicted to dopamine and pleasure. So it wants to run off and get all. You can do anything you want. Just like a spinning top out of control. It flips off. So it's a good point to understand. As you get deeper, you're going to feel better and better and better. And a lot of people exit stage right, exit stage left at a certain level. It's like, I won't explain it engineeringly, but there's a certain level people can, their consciousness will let them, and then they'll just trickle out the side and go, that's the level I need. They're nowhere near where it goes. But that's how it is. The cup overfills, that's enough, and then they run off into the world. But, you've got to stay calm and still. It keeps going.
When we get to these high states, let's call them high states, or these wide states of consciousness where we're not localized anymore, or we're localized, but we know we're much bigger. We just deeply know it, and we can feel very different. We feel very different on the inside. And when we feel high, we forget, and we think what the mind does at this point usually is go, I've got this now. And there's no way that it's going to change. You know how, for example, you might go on a diet and you lose a bunch of weight, and it's just ridiculous that you're ever going to put that back on again. There's just no way. But what happens? Generally, you put it back on again. Is it not? And then you look back and go, I was so sure I wouldn't put it back on, but here I am again. It's the same. It's just like this. The mind gets a little bit high on itself, a little bit comfortable, and it's just experiencing so much joy and happiness and freedom and peace that it can't imagine it being any other way in the future. So this is a trap that many seekers fall into, and in this high state, in this alleviated state, this wider state, we get excited, and every little thing that we thought of doing that sounded wonderful that we didn't because we lost confidence in ourselves, or we didn't feel like we had the courage, all these things, all these options open up all of a sudden. We want to rush off into them because we just feel so good. We're immortal almost. We're invincible. It just seems like such a good idea. We may want to run around and save everybody and help everybody. My message is to just stay calm and stay still and keep doing what's worked for you. What gets you there, keep doing that. And let the other things wait. You have time. And if you wait and you just stay deeper and deeper in, if it's coming to Satsang that does it, do that. If it's whatever it is, there's a certain technique you've got, do that. Whatever it is that gets you there and keeps you in that space, do that. Staying heart-centered, breath, whatever. Keep doing it, because the stabilization is not something that happens very quickly. It can take some time. And if you lose it, you can't be guaranteed you're going to get it back. You can't be guaranteed you're going to get back to that weight you really liked at that time. So don't lose it, is the key. Just do whatever you can to maintain it. Put all of your energy into holding that space. I can get you to that place pretty quick. I can show you what it is, but can you stay there? That's where the other work comes in. That's where the other teachings come in. That's where your techniques and methodologies and ways to handle the world, because we're all in the world here. We're Westerners. We're in the world. We don't have monasteries everywhere, and most of us couldn't be there and don't want to be there. Or we don't want to have our arm in the air for the next 20 years like some sadhus do, or whatever they do, all these extreme practices people get up to. We can use the world. I got trained in the teachings I studied for quite some years. I got trained to be in the world and unfold in the world, detangle in the world. Beautiful. I can live and do this. Sign me up.
It's such a beautiful thing when you really, so it's a two-step process. You're hunting being, you're hunting truth, you're hunting the deepest authentic self. And if you do that with enough sincerity, at some point the tide turns and it starts hunting you. And it throws you all sorts of things for that to happen. And it's a wonderful thing when that happens. Now it's okay. I'm definitely on the bus now. It starts hunting you. That it is your deepest self. It's hunting the authenticity hiding under the ego. It's meeting itself, and because it senses an opening and it senses. It's an automatic process. It's not like something sensing and doing. It's just this automatic dynamic that gets set up. It seems to be like an equation almost. And at a certain point, it's like a click. Okay, there's such a deep sincerity here and a willingness that here we go. I'm in. I'm coming back. And it's not going anywhere. We've already gone somewhere. We left truth. Awareness left and went into a dream of separation. So it's a homecoming. It's coming back home again. We went somewhere and we're coming home. We went and believed our first name was separate. We were taught that. Bhakti, yeah, if you just keep serving godliness and putting your attention on it instead of worrying about yourself and hurting yourself or worrying about what the other's up to and getting into grinds that are unresolving, that are just endless pointlessness. You can put it more into godliness or what's the highest here? What can I do that widens the space and opens the space in me and opens the space around me? What is that? How does that look? I'm not talking about being a missionary here. I'm just talking about within your own space and the space around you. And if you look closely, it ends up being service, silence, stillness, which results in love. Everything else is a frivolity to some degree, or a waste of your precious resources here. The animals don't have the choice in how they exist. They're just absolutely robotic. We are robots that are able to adapt and change our ways. We are adaptable. That's why humans are the best predators the world's ever seen. We're adaptable. We can also be the best lovers the world's ever seen. And that's returning to godliness and out of selfishness, out of meanness, out of I-ness, into allness. Yeah. And allness includes the unseen, seen and the unseen. So just a reminder to come back to this simplicity. You could simply ask yourself, am I being more complicated than I need to be? Because even in the world, over and over and over, I keep finding that even putting engineering or water systems in place that I've made them too complicated. And I take out a component and everything runs so much better, so much easier. But you're so sure that needed to be there, but it didn't. You take it out and everything runs perfectly. It's kind of like that. Sometimes you just don't need the stuff you think you need. You actually don't. If you just let godliness or being just take over everything, you'll be just phenomenally amazed at some point. Resistance is the cause of all your suffering, which is another way of saying what I've started with today. Your unnecessary thoughts are resistance. You'll discover that at some point when you get super sensitive. You'll have a thought and you'll feel the shadow there. You'll feel the darkness coming down. You get so sensitive that you'll feel the thought happens, and there's something there with it. It's a black spot or a black lump or a black fog that's drifting down into yourself. And you do that too much, you fill up. And you see this with a lot of older people, because they've had a lot of time to accumulate fog. That fog's filled and filled and filled, and they get greyer and heavier. So this is an intervention, yeah. You start clearing the ecosystem out, emptying. And you'll see a whole different world. There's a whole different world here. It makes the world you came from look insane, absolutely insane. That all being said, this is a common thing in this work. I remember Eckhart talking about it many years ago when I was studying his work, before awakening. I've heard it from other teachers too, and I've experienced it. And it's just, there can be a melancholy that can come along with this. How do you say that word again? For some reason, I just cannot hold it in my brain. Melancholy. Melancholy, yeah. Okay, melancholy. And so that can come with it. And that's a part of this spiritual process too, and progress, is that you're going to see the world for what it is, a shit show. And it's full of actors. And everybody's an actor. Almost everybody's an actor. And some realize they're acting at some degree, and some haven't, or not even some, the vast majority have no idea. Absolutely convinced by their mind and their character.
So that's what to do when that happens, because they're just so sneaky. And then there's even thoughts around like saying no doubt that will come up, like, oh, I don't know, it's just weird watching what the mind throws up.
The mind's getting desperate now.
Yeah.
The parasite's getting desperate to keep control, and you've got to just stay back and surrender and let go, let go. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Don't let it re-grip. It's just looking for avenues to re-grip. It's looking for angles. So understand that and just smile.
Mm.
No doubt. No, not interested, no doubt. Silence, silence, silence. Only no doubt when you need to, not just ongoing. The mind's sneaky and very patient, so just don't trust any thoughts. Outside of the ones you've chosen from a higher space or hearing from a higher space of no doubt. Let go. Stay with the breath, right? There's going to be any thoughts just along those lines.
Mm. Because it feels like arrogance can almost be like a hardening a little bit.
It is, yeah. You start to, I found it, I did it, I made it, here I am. Wow, this is amazing. It's the eye, it's the awakened eye, which is the first phase. Yeah.
I think it's both of those things, and the arrogance of like the I'm waking up. And
yeah, well, you're ending sleeping is probably a better way to put it, and then you can start to see a lot of the failure patterns all around you, and things become quite obvious what people are doing wrong at various degrees, and it changes and that mutates. Like some of the deepest, clearest seeing I've had were some of the originals. Like the original was just like, oh my God, everything is just so absolutely X-ray right now. I can see everything. You know what I mean? And just massive deep input, even though there was still lots of Thomas to undo. It was just some profound things, and you just get to see all the faults that are going on, people where they're failing and why they're failing. And it's just, you want to tell them because you want to help them, but they don't want to hear it. And so you don't tell them. And then you try to have conversations with them, and they're, you know what I mean? And there's all these weird things going on there. But yeah, just what was the last thing you said there?
Oh, that was about the sellout, maybe being in it as well, like leaning too far into not selling out. And
oh, yeah, so you're getting a bit terse. Okay,
maybe.
Yeah, so that happened. I mean, yeah, I was absolutely that way. I was absolutely ruthless for a while, and that was scaring the shit out of people. So I had to stop. I got asked to stop. But people were coming at me, so I was just telling them what I saw, and they were just falling into puddles.
why they were doing it, what they were doing. I had to stop. So I went quiet. So yeah, ruthlessness can be there at the start. And because you've discovered something so goddamn profound and so amazing, you want everyone to know about it and get on board and get on the bus, right? Well, that's how it was for me. It's like, come on, just all you got to do is this, this, and this, and it's right there. You just come on, it's right there. Because you can see it's right there for everyone. But and so you can be quite ruthless. Well, for me, it was like I could be ruthless because I could see that. I just wanted to show them what was wrong. The part of the ruthlessness is that you're on the tightrope, and it's quite easy to stay on it, because you can there's just a seeing and an opening, and it's just quite obvious. So the ruthlessness is just walking that rope, that tightrope. The razor's edge, the razor's edge is ruthless. So I soften it a great deal through compassion and heart. So you come into your heart, you have to keep going back into your heart and staying in your heart. Otherwise, you just have vipassana, the ruthlessness of the sharpness, but you got to have metta with it. Because it is ruthless, actually, isn't it? Like the world is ruthless. Watch it, like say, go into the jungle, go into the bush, go have a look around. Right? So that's natural. Ruthlessness is actually quite natural. But we have the ability for love and heart too, which is kindness. Just so does that little dog. So does Mila, right? Animals have so much love in them. So love is here too. So it's ruthless, loving ruthlessness. Yeah, not bending too far off the way. I bend off a bit to bring people on. Yeah. But I have to be very careful of not going too far off. That's why Bhakti is so powerful. So if people, if they're trained in Bhakti for their whole life, when they wake up, they stay that way. And it holds. Truth holds. It can live there.
There's been a few times lately where I've felt like I don't really know where I am. I've been wondering if it's just because I'm so blurry or if I'm just going through layers or...
So the trick is not to stop at any stops.
Yeah.
And just keep going back until there's nothing but yourself. So you're not of this world. This world's of you. So you keep going back. And you keep going back. And you keep going back. You keep going back until there doesn't seem to be any going back. And you turn around and just go forth into that. And there's the end merging. It's the merging back to self. Don't stop at any stops. And you may be offered stops by the mind, but just keep going back, keep going back. I remember when not long after I first woke up, I'm in Satsang, and there was just tears running down my face. And I just couldn't understand why I was stuck in this body. It was just a tragedy. How did I get stuck here? It was just this strangest thing. But now it's normalized. But at the time, it was just, how did this vastness get trapped in a little body and believe it was separate? It was just heartbreaking. Yeah, so it sounds like you're clamping, as you say, or tightening up, and the trick is to go wider. Just go as wide as you can. And nothing hits. It's like, like your cells go further apart, so there's nothing bouncing off them. The wind blows through. It's kind of like that. So you got to go wider. When you clamp, it's got something to hit. The energy's got something to hit. You just got to practice staying wide, not clamping and not fearing. In lower level shamanism, almost all of it, and even Reikis and all those different things, they all talk about protections and devices and wrapping yourself up and
before. So, yeah, it's all legit. I mean, it works. You can do it all. I can do it all. But it's really about, it's legit for those that can do it. There's a lot of people dreaming too. But it's about, going wider, really. There's that separation, isn't it? Defenses of separation. Right? You're segmenting me and you. Right? This is wide open. Nothing. It's wide, wide, wide. And, there's times where you don't go to really rough, crowded places and everything because it's too sensitive. You just have to plan your life accordingly for a while. There's a transition period. Right. That passes too. It's just different transitions you go through, different. Yeah, like it's just all these different layers. So, we define ourselves. Part of the reason we define ourselves as here is because our sensation ends at our fingertips and at our toes and at the top of our head. But when you start transcending the separate self, that's not true anymore. That's just what you thought was the end of your body, or what they call in Kashmir Shaivism is the skin boundary. It's just an idea. It's a concept of a human. But once you start passing into the cosmic body, into the bliss body, it's just, it's all you. So, it doesn't end at the fingertips. So you feel more.
Coming into mind or something now, it's just like this. Yeah, it's not overriding.
Dissolves
everything.
as it comes up past your heart.
Yeah, that's actually what it's like.
The black hole within, the sun within, whichever way you want to look at it.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's really cool. Because I've been watching it and then it comes up, but then it just goes. And then I just stay clear. I'm like, what's going on? That's
what happens. It's good that the self-healing begins with effortless self-healing is in flow.
Amazing.
That we are absorbs Thomas. So, prior to that, I'm absorbing it because I'm there, right? And knowingly and energetically and experientially, and is that. And then when that starts to fire within, the healing within begins. The fire within, as Carlos Castaneda called it, or Don Juan called it, the fire within. It burns in that fire. You'll see a lot of the Buddhist, even some of the authentic Islam early stuff, non-duality. They've got some non-duality sections with Muslim, the Sufis. There'll be a ring, or sometimes there's a fire. In a lot of the Buddhist imagery is fires. The fire within, the Toltec's of fire within. It's like a flames inside you, burning everything, burning the things that aren't supposed to be there, or their role has no. Their role is now redundant. The new operating system burns it out. So everything's in you. You're not in it. And that it is just we are that. You are that. I am that. It's the same thing. In India, they'd say Brahma. All is Brahma. Brahma talking to Brahma. Brahma drinking Brahma. Brahma seeing Brahma. Brahma thinking Brahma. Brahma dreaming separate. Dreaming itself. They're very delusional.
That's everything that appears to move, but what's outside of that also? What's aware of that? You have no location. There is no location. All locations are temporary, and they're reliant on mind, perception. And then the deepest state is called Tarita, or they call it the fourth. After the three dreaming states, there's something behind that. And then behind that is something that there's no recognition at all. All the only thing you'll see is, oh, the clock was at this time, now it's at this time. And there was nothing, like nothing. But the only recognition you'll have is there was something, but the time's changed, like on the clock. Right? And they call that Tarita because it means the fourth. It's not something, it's the absolute nothingness.